I don't understand.
Innocent until proven guilty, but I would hope James Harden wouldn't do anything like that.
James Harden is at the center of a story nobody saw coming, and fans are already calling it the end of an era.
It's over for him. Slick, he's washed. He washed. I'm gonna say it, bro. He washed.
The headlines sound final, but there's more beneath the surface, because when the truth behind his sentence came out, it changed everything. Let's break it down. The hit that started everything. James Harden has spent years building one of the most decorated careers in NBA history, and an equally long paper trail in civil court. The lawsuits, the accusations, the allegations of orchestrated violence, negligence, and financial default have followed him from Houston to Philadelphia to Los Angeles, and now to Cleveland. And right now, every single one of those cases is haunting him. To understand where James Harden is legally today, you have to go back to 2016, because that's when the first domino fell, and it fell inside a strip club in Houston, Texas. Moses Malone Jr., the son of the late Rockets legend Moses Malone, filed a civil lawsuit alleging that James Harden orchestrated a violent assault against him. The alleged motive, a Facebook post. Malone Jr. had made a public comment criticizing the pricing of Harden's basketball camp, suggesting it was too expensive for inner-city kids. That post, according to the lawsuit, was all it took. The news broke during what had already been a bruising postseason for Harden and the Rockets. He had put together a regular season that earned him MVP-level consideration, but the playoffs had ended badly. And now, on top of the basketball failure, came that news. The specific location in the lawsuit was V Live Strip Club on Richmond Avenue near Fountain View Drive, near the Galleria in Houston, now permanently closed. According to the lawsuit, when Malone Jr. arrived at the club that night in June 2016, he was met by a group of men led by Darian Blunt, who worked at the establishment. The men were allegedly armed with handguns and assault weapons. They didn't just confront him. According to the lawsuit, they punched and kicked Moses in the face multiple times. Some of Blunt's men used their weapons to strike Moses on the head, knocking him to the ground. And then they robbed him. The lawsuit alleges that Blunt's men ripped Moses Malone Jr.'s diamond earrings directly from his ears and stole several other pieces of his jewelry.
I wouldn't make anything up about what happened. You know, this is something that happened. It's true. I was confronted.
The attorneys for Moses Malone Jr. didn't stop at Darian Blunt. The most serious claim in the entire lawsuit pointed directly at Harden himself.
The lawsuit accuses a player of orchestrating the assault of Malone in 2016 after paying a group of henchmen $20,000 in cash.
The lawsuit claimed that Harden paid Blunt approximately $20,000 to carry out the attack. This was not a claim about Harden being in the wrong place at the wrong time. This was the direct allegation that he paid for violence against the son of a man who had helped build the Rockets franchise. The public reaction at the time was measured, careful, and even. Nobody wanted to believe it.
Innocent until proven guilty, but I would hope James Harden wouldn't do anything like that.
The word upset here carries real weight, because whatever had happened between Harden and Malone Jr. on social media, the lawsuit gave a picture of someone who channeled that frustration into something criminal, and reporters went looking for answers.
Now, Channel 2 did reach out to the Rockets. We also reached out to Harden's team of agents to get comment about this lawsuit, but at this point, we have yet to get a response.
No response, no denial, no statement, just silence from Harden's camp, which in this context felt deafening. But that silence would eventually be answered, not by Harden in a press conference, but by a Texas appeals court. In 2022, the court ruled in Harden's favor, dismissing all claims against him in the Moses Malone Jr. case. He didn't get criminally charged at the time, and the case was closed. But that was not the last time James Harden would find himself in a Houston courtroom, because the lawsuits didn't stop coming, they evolved. And the next one arrived not from a stranger in a nightclub, but from something much closer to home. Paris, the strip club fight, and the pattern nobody wanted to name. Before the courtrooms, before the depositions and the civil complaints, there was a pattern playing out in real time, and much of it was caught on camera. In 2021, James Harden was named in a Houston police report following an alleged nightclub altercation. The footage from that night circulated widely. Shaky, chaotic, the kind of clip that raises more questions than it answers.
Oh my God. It's going down.
Voices fill the frame. Someone spots Harden in the crowd.
Well, we out here and we got James Harden right here. He's like about to James Harden about to fight somebody.
The person filming doesn't look alarmed, they look entertained. Because at this point in Harden's public life, this kind of footage had almost become routine. NBA superstar, nightclub footage, chaos on a Tuesday. The police report that followed named Harden, though no charges resulted from the incident at that time. His name was attached to yet another venue, another altercation, another cycle of headlines and non-responses. That same energy followed him to Paris. In July 2021, Harden was detained by French police during Paris Fashion Week. He was taken into custody alongside Lil Baby. Now, James Harden and Lil Baby have a close friendship that goes beyond just being celebrities. Their friendship is one of those high-profile bonds that blends business, lifestyle, and a real personal connection. They got especially close around 2019 to 2020, during a time when Harden was one of the biggest names in the NBA, and Lil Baby was rising fast in the rap industry. What made their relationship stand out was how often they were together, not just at events, but in everyday situations. They traveled together, partied together, and were constantly showing up in each other's circles. Harden played a big role in introducing Lil Baby to certain luxury experiences. There are even stories of him taking Lil Baby on expensive shopping sprees in places like Paris, spending large amounts of money on designer clothes. Lil Baby has equally admitted that Harden helped him understand high-end fashion and the lifestyle that comes with being a global celebrity. Apart from this, their friendship had a strong business side. Harden supported Lil Baby's music, promoted his work, and helped amplify his brand. In return, Lil Baby brought cultural influence and energy from the music world into Harden's already flashy public image. It was a mutually beneficial relationship, sports and music crossing over. So at that event, the setup was almost cinematic. Fashion Week, celebrities, paparazzi, the whole circuit. Harden and rapper Lil Baby had stepped outside together just a day earlier, and the cameras caught all of it. Then the situation shifted. Around 4:30 p.m. Paris time, French police stopped both men after officers reportedly suspected marijuana coming from their vehicle. Lil Baby was arrested. Harden was detained briefly and then released without charge. Once again, no further action. Once again, Harden's name was attached to a moment of chaos. And once again, he emerged from it untouched by any formal legal consequence. Lil Baby, however, remained in custody. Lil Baby was arrested on suspicion of transporting marijuana. According to reports, he allegedly had about 20 grams of weed on him. Think about it. You're an artist, and you go to another country to celebrate their fashion week and try to see what are some of the new trends. But somehow, the story changes along the line. For Harden, Paris was a footnote, a detention, and even though it wasn't an arrest, the accumulation of incidents, Houston, Paris, Moses Malone lawsuit, the nightclub police report, was building a portrait of someone whose off-court life demanded constant legal navigation. And here's what made it significant. None of it was slowing down. If anything, it was about to accelerate, because while the Paris detention and the nightclub incident never produced criminal charges, they formed the backdrop against which something far more serious would eventually happen. Back in Houston, back at a private party at Harden's own home. And this time, the lawsuit would not just name him, it would name his house, his guests, and the people he employed to keep order inside it. The architecture of every prior lawsuit had been the same. Harden adjacent to violence, Harden adjacent to disorder, Harden adjacent to situations that ended with someone getting hurt. But the 2025 lawsuit would strip away the word adjacent entirely. New Year's Eve at the mansion. December 31st, 2024. James Harden's Houston mansion, a private party, the kind that never makes the guest list public and never ends up on anyone's social media until something goes wrong. On June 23rd, 2025, a Houston real estate agent named Marissa Watley filed a civil complaint in Harris County, Texas. The defendants named in that complaint were Harden's nephew, Justice Armani Blackburn, and James Harden himself, along with unnamed security personnel employed at the property. The complaint described what Watley alleged happened to her that night in detail, which left very little to interpretation. She claimed that she became intoxicated after drinking from a bottle offered to her by Blackburn, passed out, and was sexually molested by him while she was unconscious in one of the bedrooms of the home. Harden is not accused of being in the room. He is not accused of committing the molestation, but the lawsuit does not let him off the hook. Watley's legal team argued that Harden's security team was fully aware of the conditions inside the party, including her incapacitated state, the presence of other women who had also passed out, and prior behavior by Blackburn toward other guests, and they did nothing. The negligence claims are specific and surgical. The complaint alleges that the security team failed to intervene when intervention was clearly warranted. It alleges that they ejected Watley's friends from the property, the people who could have helped her, and it alleges that when those friends tried to locate her afterward, The security team lied about where she was, actively delaying any attempt at rescue. The complaint also included claims of negligent supervision, a broader legal accusation that Harden, as the owner of the property and the employer of the security team, was responsible for a systemic policy of leaving vulnerable guests unprotected. This wasn't a claim about one bad decision made in a moment of confusion. The lawsuit framed it as a pattern, a deliberate culture inside that house that prioritized protecting the property and its host over protecting the people inside it. Watley is seeking a jury trial, plus economic, compensatory, and punitive damages. The Wigdor law firm, which filed the complaint, is not a boutique operation. They specialize in high-profile civil rights and employment cases, and their involvement alone signals that this lawsuit is being treated with institutional seriousness. Harden's representatives declined to comment at the time the filing became public, and as of the time of this video, not so much has been done about the case, about Harden, his nephew, or any of the security personnel. The case remains entirely civil, but the distinction between civil and criminal carries less weight here than it might in other contexts, because what Watley's legal team put into that complaint, the detail, the timeline, the specific failures of each person who was employed to keep guests safe, reads less like a lawsuit and more like an indictment of everything that went on inside that house on the last night of 2024. And the public response was swift and unforgiving, because by the time this filing landed, Harden's audience had already been watching him navigate lawsuits and altercations and detentions for nearly a decade. The goodwill tank was not full, and on social media, the narrative that had been building quietly for years started to crystallize into something louder and uglier. The version of James Harden that the public had decided to believe in was already in the process of being revised. Restaurant, rent, and a wrongful death. By the time the Watley complaint dropped in the summer of 2025, Harden was already dealing with a second, completely separate civil legal situation, and this one involved money, a restaurant, and a dead man. Harden owned a Houston restaurant called 13. In approximately September 2025, the landlord, Midtown Scout Square Property, filed a civil lawsuit against Harden seeking over $2.2 million in alleged unpaid rent and expenses. The restaurant had closed and been locked in 2025. Harden's mother, Monja Willis, was later added as a defendant in the case. This is not a case involving violence or molestation. It is not the kind of lawsuit that generates outrage or trending hashtags, but it is, in many ways, more immediately consequential for Harden's finances than anything else currently on his legal calendar, because $2.2 million, even for an NBA player on a professional contract, is a number that demands attention. As of April 1st, 2026, Harden's legal team filed a motion to delay depositions that had been scheduled for May 2026. Two reasons were cited: the NBA playoffs and the health of his mother. The motion was filed in the middle of the Cavaliers' regular season push, which meant that Harden was simultaneously trying to perform at the highest level of professional basketball while his attorneys were filing paperwork to buy him more time in a civil deposition over restaurant bills. A separate lawsuit, filed in December 2024, named the 13 restaurant as a defendant in a wrongful death case. The complaint alleged that the restaurant overserved alcohol to a patron named Christian Daniel Herrera in November 2023, and that Herrera subsequently got into a vehicle and caused a fatal car crash. This is a business liability claim against the establishment itself, not a direct personal accusation against Harden, but his name is attached to the restaurant. His name is attached to the decision to keep that restaurant running. And now his name is attached to a lawsuit that involves someone dying. What makes this particular cluster of lawsuits so striking is the breadth of it. The Moses Malone Jr. case was about violence. The Watley complaint is about a sexual molestation that allegedly happened under his roof. Restaurant cases are about financial negligence and the downstream consequences of serving alcohol to someone who then killed a person. Each of these lawsuits exists in its own legal silo. Each of them names Harden in a different capacity: orchestrator, property owner, business owner. But stacked on top of each other, they form something larger than the sum of their parts. They form a biography of liability that now spans nearly a decade of Harden's life. Although major courts have not really punished him in the criminal sense, the court of public perception operates under different rules, and the verdict there had been rendered long before any of these lawsuits reached their current status. Because while the lawyers filed motions and the judges scheduled deposition, the people watching from the outside had already started writing his exit from the league, not on legal grounds, but on basketball ones. And that basketball argument, surprisingly, may have landed harder than any of the lawsuits. Washed or just done. As of April 2026, James Harden is a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The journey to get there, from Houston to Brooklyn to Philadelphia to Los Angeles, and now Cleveland, is itself a story of diminishing returns and burning bridges, each stop defined more by the exit than the arrival. James Harden has had a long and interesting journey in the NBA. His career is a mix of great success as an individual player and constant movement between teams in search of a championship. Harden became a true superstar with the Houston Rockets. This was the team where he built his name and showed how talented he was. He was known for his unique style of play, especially his step-back three-point shots and his ability to score easily. During his time in Houston, he achieved a lot. He won the NBA Most Valuable Player (MVP) award in 2018, became one of the top scorers in the league, and was selected as an All-Star many times. He also led the team deep into the playoffs and came very close to reaching the NBA Finals. However, despite all his efforts, he could not win a championship with the team. Over time, the team became weaker, and Harden decided it was time to move on. In 2021, Harden joined the Brooklyn Nets. This move was very exciting because he teamed up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Many people believed they would easily win a championship. At Brooklyn, Harden changed his style of play. Instead of focusing only on scoring, he became more of a playmaker, helping his teammates score. Even though the team looked strong, things did not go as planned. Injuries and other issues affected the team, and they were unable to achieve their goal. Harden became unhappy again and decided to leave. He was then traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, where he played with Joel Embiid. In Philadelphia, Harden was said to show a more mature side of his game. He even led the league in assists and played an important role in helping Embiid win the MVP award. Although he had some strong performances, especially in the playoffs, the team still could not go far enough to win a championship. Problems also started to grow between Harden and the team's management, which led to another exit. In 2023, Harden moved to the Los Angeles Clippers. This was another chance for him to win a title. He joined other star players like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. At this stage of his career, Harden focused more on passing and controlling the game. However, just like before, injuries and inconsistency made it difficult for the team to succeed fully. And now, there have been talks about Harden possibly joining the Cleveland Cavaliers, although this move has not been confirmed. For Harden, the basketball conversation has been running in parallel to the legal one for years, and in 2025, the two narratives finally merged into something the internet could hold in one hand.
I think we're so stuck on what it used to be, who it used to be. Oh, James Harden, and the name is a big name.
The fans' point is sharp. Harden's name still carries weight. James Harden, as a concept, the MVP, the scoring champion, the step-back architect, that version of Harden still lives rent-free in basketball culture. But the actual current version, the one in the Cavaliers jersey, the one who had to sign on the terms available to him rather than the terms he wanted.
Until you see him up close and personal, right? I mean, I don't see no more explosion. He still looks quick. He can't get to the hole the same. He don't have the same lift. It's over for him. Slick.
That is not a take. That is an observation. The explosion that made Harden one of the most unguardable players in league history. The first step that created geometry problems for every defender in the paint. That quality had faded.
He's washed. He washed. I'm gonna say it, bro. He washed.
The word washed in basketball culture carries a specific terminal meaning. It doesn't mean declining. It doesn't mean aging. It means the thing that made you dangerous is gone. It means defenders have adjusted, and you haven't. It means you are no longer a problem. And the brutal truth is that no amount of civil lawsuit resolution changes that assessment. Harden could win every single case currently pending against him. The Watley complaint could be dismissed. The restaurant landlord could settle for a fraction of what they're demanding. His nephew's case could be resolved without any finding against anyone. All of that could happen, and it would not return a single inch of vertical to his jump shot or a single explosive step to his first move. The legal story and the basketball story were never really the same story. They ran alongside each other, feeding the same general narrative of a superstar in decline, not just athletically, but reputationally. But the endpoints are different. One ends in a courtroom. The other ended quietly, somewhere between Los Angeles and Cleveland, when it became clear that no team was fighting for James Harden's services the way teams once fought for them. No doubt, James Harden's career is full of great achievements. He is one of the best scorers in NBA history, a former MVP, and a player who has been selected as an All-Star many times. He has also led the league in both scoring and assists. However, alongside these achievements is a long list of lawsuits and allegations. So while the 2017 Moses Malone Jr. case was dismissed in Harden's favor in 2022, the 2025 Watley negligence case still pending, and the restaurant lawsuit still ongoing civil disputes with no criminal component, the verdict looks far more settled. The version of Harden who demanded trades and rewrote contracts and forced his way from franchise to franchise on the strength of his irreplaceability, that version is gone. The courtrooms are still active, the lawyers are still billing, but the basketball that made all of it worth discussing, that, at least for now, genuinely does appear to be over. So, what do you think? In a league where reputation is everything, can James Harden walk away from this situation without it leaving a permanent stain on his career? Let me know what you think in the comments section. For more videos like this, click on this next card on your screen.